The question of the day is from Riza, but it's a question that I get at least a few times per week. My camera won't focus. Help. Before taking your camera to the shop or sending it into the manufacturer, there are several things to check. Because sometimes it's just user error. We've all done something that we've realized afterwards was a little silly. That's maybe one of those times. So let's talk about 4 things to check out. 1. Make sure both your camera and your lens are set to autofocus and not manual focus. It's an easy thing to miss, especially if you don't normally shoot manual. Every once in a while, that switch can get flipped or the menu item can accidentally get changed. With the sophistication of today's camera bodies and lenses, there are several places that autofocus could be overridden. Once you are sure that you are set to autofocus, what are your autofocus settings? There are usually 1 or 2 different sets of settings. The answer to this question may require you to consult your camera's manual. It will tell you about your camera's autofocus options and what they are called. First, you usually have the option to have the camera focus when you half press the shutter release button and keep focused there until the button is fully pressed, which is often called single servo autofocus. Set it to that. Also, turn off any face detection or any of those options where the camera makes the decision on what to focus on for you. You'll want to make sure that you are choosing the focus area. Last, you can disable the focus on the half press because some people use the AF on button instead. Check that menu item to make sure that you are set to autofocus with the button of your choosing, whether it is the shutter release button or the AF on button. Now, is there enough light for the camera to autofocus? If there isn't enough light, your camera isn't going to autofocus for you. If you aren't sure about this, try using your camera's autofocus assist lamp, which on some cameras is available only in the center autofocus point in single servo mode. The idea is that it will light up your subject for a moment while the camera focuses, then it turns off for you to actually take the photo. Another thing to think about is your aperture. What aperture are you using? If you are using a wide aperture, you might run into a few problems. Your depth of field might be super shallow. That means that only a very small part of your image will be in focus. Your subject may simply be outside that area. It's also easy to miss focus just by a little bit in that situation, and you'll be focusing on the wrong thing. Also, many lenses are a bit soft at wide apertures like f1.8 or f1.4. Could your image be in focus, but it just doesn't look as crisp as you expect because you're shooting wide open? If you check those things and you're still having trouble, it might be time to send it in. Cameras do break, so there's no harm in getting it checked out. Thanks for the question, Riza.